Hello my gorgeous friends on the internet. How are you all doing? I hope your day was awesome. So today we are going to be building a beautiful login form, and we are going to be coding this from scratch actually. And on my right side of the screen you can see I have the fully completed design, and we have a card view, and the parent layout is a relative layout, and we have a card view, and the card view have lots and lots of linear layouts inside wrapped. So we have the first one, which is a test view, login to your Megi account. We have don't have an account. We have email address, which is a test input layout, and we also have a button here, also have a test view. So this is actually what we are going to be creating in this particular lesson, but I'm only going to create a design for this one, and then on the next video we are going to actually validate these forms. So when the user puts in a wrong value, we'll be able to validate all those stuffs then. So now I'm going to close my emulator. So now I have an empty activity, just a main activity which is just empty for now. And I also so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to create a new activity. So this activity will be a login activity, and this is where we are going to actually design the form and all that. So I'm going to select an empty activity. So I'm going to change the name to login. So leave everything as it is and just click finish. So I'm going to give Gradle some time to just synchronize the project. Okay, so now our activity has been created successfully. So I will go to the design layout, and this is where we are actually going to the for the design. But before we start, there are three things we need to get rid of first. So just switch to your design tab. This is Android 4.0, but if you're using a version that is less than 4.0, you should see the test and the design underneath this code place. So I'm going to select design and open the palette, whatever, and I want to make sure that this screw view is downloaded. So if yours is not downloaded, you should see a download icon here, so just click on it to download it, but make sure you have an internet connection already. And the next one is I'll go to the container, and I should see a card view. Make sure the card view is also downloaded. You can see this one is not downloaded, that's why this download icon is showing. So if yours is like this, just click on it, but if yours is already downloaded, no worries. And the next one is I will go to the test palette, and I should see a test input layout widget. So just download this as well if yours is not yet downloaded. So after downloading it, make sure that everything is ready. So just go to your file and invalidate cache and restart. So just invalidate and restart your Android Studio to actually apply those changes. So having done that, you can actually follow along with me. So I'll switch back to the code because we want to be coding everything from scratch. So if you're on version that is less than 4.0, just click on the test button. So I'm going to click on this, and this should open the code for us. But now I want to actually display so that we can be able to actually see the design and the code side by side. So I'm going to click on this split, and so this is going to show. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to close this because I want some space and increase this a little. So now this, we're not going to be using constraint layout. As I said initially, we are going to use a relative layout as the root layout. So I'm going to change this constraint layout to root layout, to relative layout, sorry. And I'm going to leave everything as it is, and so I'm going to give this a background color of color accent. So you can give it any color that you want. So I'm going to select color accent, and this is going to change the background color. So the next thing I want to do now is a screw view, because I want this form to actually be responsive. So on any device, you'll be able to screw. When we change the orientation from portrait to landscape, we want the form to be screw levels, and that will give the user a better experience. So I'm going to type in screw view here, and the screw view is going to have a width of match parent, a height of wrap content. Since we are using a relative layout as a root layout, I need to give the screw view some kind of alignment, but in this one I'm going to center it in parent. So I'll set that to true and close this up. So now the next thing I'm going to pass now is a linear layout. So inside the screw view, I'm going to pass in a linear layout. And the linear layout, we have a width of match parent, a height of wrap content, and I will give it an orientation of vertical. So this will be in form of column. So close this up. Inside the linear layout is where I'm actually going to pass in all the widgets for this form. So the first widget I'm going to pass is a card view. Okay, a card view, and it should have a width of match parent. I'm going to give it a height of wrap content. I want the edges, the corners, to be rounded, so I'm going to give it a radius of 15 dp. So just type in radius, it should bring all this up. So I'm going to give it a radius of 15 dp, and also give this an ID, but it's not necessary for now since we are not validating it, but I just need to pass in that ID. So I'll give it an ID of card view, and give this a padding, because I don't want the children to be actually close to the edges of the card view. So I'm going to give this a padding of 30 dp. Okay, so now I'm going to pass in a linear layout inside the card view. Okay, a linear layout of match parent, which is the width. The height also will be wrap content. Okay, so I'm going to give this a padding as well of 25 dp, and also give it an orientation of let's say vertical. Okay, so I'll close this up. So this linear layout now is where you can see that the linear layout is now visible, but now and the edges are kind of showing, but now is the card view is actually close to the left and the right side of the relative layout. So to fix that, I will go back to my relative layout and actually give it a padding of 20 dp. So I'm going to give this a padding of 20 dp, so there should be a space around this card view. So I'll go back to where I left. Okay, inside this linear layout. So now I want to create a test view widget, and that widget will be this stuff here. Log into your Megi account, and this line which will be created by a view widget, and also a linear layout that is going to take in two test views. So this is what I want to create right now. So I will switch back to, okay, I'm going to minimize this. I will switch back to my code, and now I'm going to create a test view. Not a tab layer, tab host. I'm going to create a test view. The width, match parent, the height, wrap content. I will give it a gravity of center, not layer gravity, a gravity of center, and it should have a test color of, okay, I'm going to give it a black test color. Okay, this is looking nice. And also I want to give it a test, because normally a test view is supposed to have a test. So I will say log into your Megi account. Okay, actually Megi is a company, and you can check that out on Google. So the test size will be 20 sp. and I'm going to close this, and I'm going to give and put a line at the bottom of this test view. So I'm going to use the view widget to actually add that line. View widget, I'll give it a width, so I'm giving it a width of 20 dp, a height of 1 dp. I'm also going to give it a margin because I don't want it to be close to this test view, so I'm going to give it a margin of 10 dp and give it a gravity, so I want it to be at the center. Okay, and a background color. Okay, so let me give it a kind of grayish background color, so I will say F6867. Okay, so I'm going to close this up, and lastly I want to add a test view under that. So the test view, actually I'm going to wrap it on a linear layout and then passing the test views inside. So the first thing I want to do now is to create a linear layout, give it a width of match parent, a height, wrap content, a gravity, layout gravity, which is center, and also give it a gravity as well, which is center, and orientation of horizontal. So I'm going to pass in the two test views that will be inside. So I'll pass in the first test view, which we have a width of wrap content, a height of wrap content, a gravity of center. Okay, so I'll give it a black test color. Okay, so that will be 0000. Okay, and I want to pass in the test, so that will be don't have an account, don't have an account. Okay, so I'll give it a test size of 15 SP. Okay, so I'm now going to add another test view, so I'm going to copy this and paste it. Okay, so now we have two test views, so I'm going to change the test to register. Also change the color as well to kind of a blue color. So I already have the color code, so I'm just going to type it 365FF4. so this is kind of a blue color. Okay, so everything is okay, but now you can see, observe that the register test view and don't have an account test view are closed. So what I'm going to do now is to add a margin left to this test view. So you should have a margin left of 10 dp. Okay, so there should be it has automatically added a space around that. So this is all for the linear layout. So the next thing I want to do is to create the test icons, the edit test, that is the email and the password. So what I'm going to do now, under this linear layout, I'm going to create another linear layout and give it a width of match parent, a height of wrap content, and I will give it a margin top because I don't want it to be close to this test view. So it should have a margin top of 20 dp and orientation of vertical in form of a column. So I'm going to close this, and inside here I want to pass the email. So I'm going to wrap the email edit test inside a test input layout, which I asked you to download initially. So what I'm going to do now is to say type test input layout. You can see we have two input layouts here, but don't worry, let's just take the test input layout first, and I'm going to give this a width of match parent, a height of wrap content, and the color I want to give it a kind of background color like a white color. So I will give the E6, okay, 6 E2. Okay, so this is kind of a white color, and I will give this, okay, that's all. I'm going to close it. So inside this test input layout, I'm going to pass the edit test so that the user will be able to pass in a value inside of it. So what I'm going to do now is to add the test input edit test. So I'm going to pass this as a child inside the test input layout and give it a width of match parent, height of wrap content. So I will give it a hint, email address, and give it an ID for validation sake. So this ID will be test email, and the padding of 15 dp. Okay, so this is it, and you can see that it's looking nice. We have the email address as a test input edit test. So the next thing I want to do now is to create the layout, the test input layout and test input edit test for the password. So since it's the same thing, I'm just going to copy this, okay, and then paste it underneath. So this should create another edit test for us, but it's showing red. That is because they both have the same ID. So I'm going to change this one to test password. Okay, and what I want to do now is I will go ahead and change this hint from email address to password. Okay, so I'm going to set the password here to false, and also, okay, the padding is 15 dp. So what I want to do now is to actually add that toggle icon that will toggle between visibility and invisibility of the password. So what I'm going to do, I'll go to the test input layout and actually add the password toggle enabled and set that to true, and the icon will be added automatically. Okay, why is it not showing? Password toggle enabled. Okay, let me clear that and type it again. True. Okay, so now it's visible. Now we can see the eye icon here. So when the user clicks on it to hide the password, when you click on it again, it will make the password visible. So the next thing I want to add now is a margin, because I don't want this password to be close to the email. So I want to add a kind of space in between the both of them. So I'll give it a margin top of 20 dp. 20 dp. Okay. So sometimes by default, when we launch this app, it's going to like show I don't want when we launch the app to like show the keyboard immediately. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to disable the test. I'm going to disable the focusable in touch mode. I will set that to true. So it can only be focused when the user taps on it, rather than being focused when the app just launches. So what I'm going to do, I'll add it to the layout, which is the linear layout. So I will say focusable in touch mode, and I'll set it to true. So you can try to actually run your form without putting this focusable in touch mode to see how it behaves. Just play around with it. That's a part of learning actually. So the next thing I'm going to do now, I've added the password and I've added the email address. So the next one I want to add now, create now, is the button. So that button, once you click on it, is going to validate the form, but we are not going to do that in this particular one, but I still need to put it. So what I'm going to do now is to add a button of let's say match parent, a height of wrap content, and I will give it a margin because I don't want it to be close to the password. So the margin top will be around 25 dp. Okay, so I'm also going to pass in the text to this log in. Okay, So this is it, and the password is looking nice, so the button is looking nice. So I'm going to add an ID, so to take the ID of submit. So on the next video, when we are actually validating it, we are going to get the ID of this and then run our validation when the user clicks on it. So this is it, and you can see how nice it is and simple to create, nothing that difficult. So this is a lovely form. You can go ahead and play with it. You can also create a kind of forgotten password to this. You can also create a sign up form using the same method. But this is not all. Actually, I also need to create a test view. Okay, so that test view is going to say forgot your password. So in case the user forgets his or her password, they should be able to click on that. So I'm going to add it below this button. So that will be a test view with a width and height of match and wrap content respectively, and the test will be forgot password. Forgot your password. Okay, and I'll give it a layout margin top. Top of 25 dp, same as the button. And also give it a gravity because I want it to be aligned to the center. I'll give it a gravity of center, a test color of blue. So I'm going to find this one, just click on it, it should take us to the color. So I'm going to copy this color code, okay, and click back on this to go to the downside. So I'm going to replace the color, and this should give it a nice good looking blue color. And so guys, this is all for this video, and yeah, I hope you have learned something. You can see how simple it is to create a form.